tax file number with Australian Taxation Office. Then after that, you already have an ABN, you already have an TFN. You will set up your own, you set up a bank account for the SMSF. So you will not use you will not use your own bank account, but you set up a bank account for your own SMSF. After that, you get an electronic services address. It's works similar to a net bank. So that your super, your HESTA or your REST super can transfer money or your own fund, APRA regulated fund, to your own SMSF via electronic services address. So that's mandatory. Otherwise, they cannot transfer money to your bank account. And then number 7, you have to design an investment strategy. So our auditor look into your investment strategy. This is part of the audit when your fund is being before your fund can submit a tax return to the ATO. So your fund supposed to be audited, and the auditor will ask for an investment strategy. Number 8, you also need to create an exit strategy as well. So when are you going to liquidate your super fund, retirement strategy? So you need to create that exit strategy. Number 9, you need to appoint an auditor. So your accountant, we as an accountant, TaxSmart Cafe as an accountant cannot audit our own job. So there's supposed to be an external auditor. The auditor that's being regulated by ASIC as well. They are licensed auditor. Not all accountants are auditor. They are supposed to be a licensed SMSF auditor. And then number 10, you need to appoint an administrator, an accountant, or actuaries for the depreciation of your investment property. So what every trustee should know, you need to understand the following when if you already decided to set up your SMSF. So number 1 is the sole purpose test. So the purpose in setting up SMSF is for your retirement. So the fund is supposed to be for the purpose of the fund is supposed to be for your retirement, not to access your money early, because that's in violation of the SMSF rules. Assets supposed to be in the name of the fund. So I mentioned a while ago that you need to open the SMSF bank account. So because it's not supposed to be, the money is not supposed to be rolled over in your own personal bank account. When you invest in property, when you decide to invest in a property, the assets is supposed to be in the name of SMSF. So for example, I purchased a property under my SMSF. So the contract is supposed to be in the ROM Superannuation Fund, or the title is supposed to be in the ROM Superannuation Fund, not under my own personal name. And there's also a restrictions on investment, because the purpose of SMSF is for your retirement. You cannot access that early. So meaning, if you invest in property, you cannot use that property. If you invest in collectibles like paintings or maybe a vintage car as part of your investment strategy, you cannot put that paintings into your own house, or use that vintage car or drive that vintage car. You have to deposit that, because that's early access. Some investors or a trustee invest in jewelry, so they cannot use that as well. They need to deposit that in a deposit box. Related parties, there's guidelines in buying of investment property, like you cannot buy your own house using an SMSF money. In-house assets, it's for business owners. There's a 5% limit to, for example, I have my own SMSF. I can only invest my up to 5% of my SMSF money to my own business.
Look at my new car.
lending money or early access. This is
Is she coming with you?
uh, lending money. This is a very popular violation of SMSF law. The SMSF money, they lend that one to themselves or to their friends and relatives. That will be considered as an early access of your fund, and you will be penalized in doing that. For SMSF, there's a rule as well in exotic investments like cryptocurrency, options, forex. It's subject to ATO rules, but you need to have like a proper records or to calculate capital gains, especially if SMSF is trading forex, options, or crypto currency. So the following are SMSF trustees wish they knew before setting up their own SMSF. A lot of people are saying that it's supposed to be they don't set up. It's supposed to be they do not set up SMSF, but their friends or their accountants convince them to set up an SMSF. So according to ASIC, 38% of SMSF trustees found running their own SMSF is time consuming than expected, because when they set up SMSF, they think that it's the accountants who will do all the job for them. If you cannot keep your for example, if you're doing your own personal tax return, if you cannot do your own logbook for your personal travel or for your work related travel, you cannot run your own SMSF. If you cannot keep invoice for the uniform that you purchased, you cannot run your own SMSF, because every year where you're in front of the accountant, every details that came out in the bank account of your SMSF supposed to be supported by all by receipts. Otherwise, ATO will consider that as an early access of your super fund if you cannot explain to them what is that expense.
Yeah.
So around 38% of SMSF trustees found out that it's very, very time consuming. There's a question here: when you use your SMSF for an investment property, can you rent it out? Yes, of course. You can actually do that. Actually, that's the purpose of setting up SMSF, to buy an investment property and rent it out. But you cannot. Yes, does that mean that you can just invest it back to your SMSF? If yes, mean that the income in that property will just be reinvested back to your SMSF fund? Yes, RN. Supposed to be all of the money that's coming into your SMSF will be deposited into the SMSF bank account. It will be deposited into the SMSF. The next, fees could be excessive than anticipated. So this is very, very common. When the SMSF is being set up, majority of trustees thinks that that's it. There's no compliance at all. And then when the accountant ring them and ask them to lodge a tax return, they think that it's so expensive. They think that it's a one-off fee on expense only. They think that it only costs them 4,000 and that's it. So accountants fail to explain that there's an ongoing compliance in setting up an SMSF. So 33%, it's around, if it's 1 million trustee, so around 330,000 did not know that there must be an investment strategy. So 330,000 of trustees didn't actually know that they have to develop an investment strategy for their self-managed super fund. 19%, so around 190,000, failed to consider that there's an insurance needs when setting up an SMSF. So the sole purpose of superannuation or the SMSF is for retirement, but the ancillary purpose is for to cover those if you cannot reach the retirement age, like for example, disability, accident. So you have an obligation as well to look after the members of the self-managed super fund. And 30% did not have an arrangement in place for their SMSF if something happened to them or something happened to the members. So an actual example, a client came to us. The two friends set up an SMSF. A and B, they are best friends. Set up an SMSF and purchase an investment property. But the problem is after 2 years, A was diagnosed with cancer. And of course, A automatically, because that's a disability, uh, A automatically entitled to get his money. So eventually they sold that property in order to give that money to his best friend. So 30% of the trustee did not have arrangement in place for their SMSF if something happened to one of them. Your responsibility when you set up SMSF. So this is part of audit every year. So you have to pass the sole purpose. So any expenses, any investment must comply with the sole purpose. So sole purpose, as I mentioned, is for retirement. Develop a strategy so the auditor will compare your investment or the expenses of your SMSF based on the strategy that you develop. You have to consider your members' insurance needs. You have to accept contributions from your members, and you have an obligation to make payments if the member is already entitled to their superannuation. Similar, like the example that I mentioned, A is already entitled to get his money. So you have an obligation to make payments. If one of the member reached the retirement age and he is already entitled to get the lump sum of his money, you cannot mention to the member that our investment is still in property. We don't have to we if we are going to sell our property, we'll be losing money. But one of the members already entitled. You have to sell that property and give that to the member if they are already entitled to get that money. You have to monitor the balance. You have an obligation to like your APRA regulated fund. You receive a statement from the trustee of your superannuation of your Australian super. So because you want to know how much money you have. Same thing with SMSF. You have to monitor the balance and you have to inform your member with their respective balances. You have to appoint the auditor. We cannot lodge a tax return without audit. So as an accountant, for example, one of our member will contact you to prepare a tax return. We will get all of the supporting documents. Like for example, you purchase the property, we get all the contracts, we get all the receipts, and then after that we prepare a tax return. We will prepare a financial statement, and then that documents will be forwarded to our auditor, and then the auditor will sign it off. We will receive audit statement, and that's the time that we can lodge the tax return. And then the last one is lodge an annual tax return. It's mandatory and pay taxes if SMSF, if there's a tax due for an SMSF. If you fail to lodge an annual tax return, ATO will remove your SMSF in an SMSF lookup, and your employer or your employer cannot contribute your mandatory, your 10.5% super guarantee to your SMSF if you fail to lodge your tax return. This eight tax office records of non-compliance. 21.2% non-compliance is providing loans or assistance to members, meaning they use their own funds for their personal purposes. I mentioned a while ago that the SMSF purpose is the sole purpose of SMSF is for retirement, and you cannot access that before retirement. 18.8% of non-compliance is an in-house assets. This is applicable to business owners running their own SMSF. They invest their fund to their own business. So in-house asset rules, you cannot put money more than 5%. 12.9% separation of assets. They mix their money with their own personal money, or they purchase property and put the property under their own personal name. 10.5% in administrative, meaning no documentations, no receipts, failed to file the tax return. And then the 8.4% is the sole purpose, meaning direct early access as well. So or another example is they purchase an investment property and one of their kids live into that property that is being considered as an early access. SMSF and property. So actually, people set up SMSF to buy majority to buy an investment property. We love a property, and it's good as well. No need to set up an SMSF to invest in shares, because or direct shares, because you can do that inside your APRA regulated fund. Actually, your Australian Super can invest in direct shares. You can buy Telstra or exchange traded funds inside your Australian Super. You don't have to set up SMSF. SMSF, normally people set up SMSF for asset protection and control of an investment, and majority are buying an investment property, a residential property. 5 points, non-residential real property, it's commercial property. Business owners, SMSF started by business owners buying commercial property, around 5.6%. It's becoming popular now. People set up SMSF to buy investment residential property. SMSF also can invest in real estate investment trust. This is the structure being set up by a property developers. So your SMSF can actually invest in that investment trust. Listed property securities, those shopping centers, you can do that via SMSF as well. Like for example, the owner of buildings. There's a property trust. You can buy that similar to a share, and SMSF can buy that investment as well. The big concern, this is an ATO concerns and drawbacks in SMSF direct property investment because of property spookers. So when you buy your own PPR, you normally do your own research. You look for the location. But if it's an SMSF, normally, because it's coming from your super, you just straight away go and trust property seller. And the property spookers are targeting an SMSF because Australians, we love investment property, and spookers normally take advantage of that. So SMSF trustees are so vulnerable. So beware of the one-stop shop, meaning one organization or one company will approach you to set up SMSF and tell you that they already have an accountant that can set up SMSF. And then there's already a property designed for that SMSF. There's already a financial advisor that will purchase the insurance, and there's already an auditor that will that will audit your funds. So the problem with that is you will get like a poor advice from that operator. They will earn a lot of commissions from selling that the property to you. The best strategy is to have your independent advisor, independent accountant, and you do as a trustee of your money, do your own research before buying that property. The good thing about SMSF as well is the power of leverage. Your 200,000 fund balance can purchase 500,000 investment property because your SMSF can borrow money via limited recourse borrowing agreement. So the power leverage like other people's money approach. So and I use that wealth or appreciation of that property to buy another one, but there's a guidelines for refinance. So with borrowing money to buy investment property, you need to have another trust uh, to hold that property. So when you purchase an investment property under if you borrow money to invest in investment property, the property will not be under the name of your SMSF trust, but you have to set up another. We call it a bear trust or a custody trust. It's a bit technical, but this one is for your own protection of your money against the bank. So because the bank will be limited to that property and cannot access some of your investments inside that SMSF. So that's actually the purpose of setting up a bear trust. So SMSF buying an investment property through borrowings, you will have two trusts, and if you use PTY Limited or a company as a trustee, you will have to set up two companies. This is a common question to me about refinancing to buy to refinance the loan to buy another property. That's being actually allowed by ATO, provided the new. ATO says it's allowed where the new borrowing is to extinguish the previous loan. Before the mistakes to avoid, there's a few messages to our page and messenger. So the first actually question is I'll answer this one quickly. Can I sell property from my SMSF to myself? So meaning the SMSF purchase a property, investment property, and the question is, can I sell that property from my to myself? The answer is yes, provided it's an arm's length, meaning it's a market value. You cannot discount. You cannot sell that property, SMSF property, with a big discount. The next one. Can I sell my investment property to my SMSF? It's the other way around actually. So you have an SMSF, you already have an investment property under your own name, and you set up an SMSF, and the question is, can I sell that investment property to the SMSF? The answer here is it depends. So if the property is a residential investment property, the answer is no. But if the property is a commercial property, the answer is yes. Hopefully, I answered that question. Another question is, can I live in my SMSF property when I retire? The answer here is no, if the property is under the SMSF. So if you reach the retirement, you need to transfer the ownership of that property into your own personal name, meaning you will close that SMSF and you can live into that property. So I'll answer another for another five questions after I finished that 10 mistakes to avoid when setting up an SMSF. So the first mistake is you don't have a clear objectives. It is being actually related to the sole purpose test. So you set up SMSF. Actually, your objective is for your own retirement, not to access that money. So there's a few trustees set up an SMSF and buy an investment property overseas in order for the relatives to live into that property. That's a clear violation of the sole purpose test. The next mistake is you misunderstand self-managed. Supposed to be, it's not being your SMSF is not being managed by your accountant or your financial advisor. It's supposed to be managed by you. So you need to invest time. You need to study the investment as well. You need to have an experienced investor in order to manage your own SMSF. Another mistake is did not consider time and inclination to manage SMSF. So Asik mentioned that at least 8 hours a month you need to devote 8 hours a month to manage your own money. Not giving careful thought of a geared strategy. This is related to the limited recourse borrowing arrangement, meaning your SMSF will borrow money to invest in property. So an example, there's a client that approached us, set up an SMSF, did make a deposit, and then by that time that during settlement, he lost his job and the SMSF cannot borrow money from the bank. So the SMSF lost the deposit as well. So it lost a big amount of money by not giving a careful thought about borrowings or a geared or negative gearing strategy. The next one is actually a concern of ATO. So to do your homework in buying property, because there's a lot of properties brokers that wants to earn a big commission in your SMSF. The next one is no adequate responsibility and control. So this is your own money. This is your own retirement. You have to be responsible and must have a control in your investment strategy. Tallying up the cost. So before setting up an SMSF, you need to compare the cost of your APRA regulated fund as compared to SMSF. As a guidelines, a low balance fund, a low balance SMSF cannot compete with your APRA regulated fund. This is related to the next one. There's no appropriate starting balance in your supervision. There's a latest research from SMSF Association and supported by Deakin University that the balance is around 200,000 to compete with APRA regulated fund. And the next one is property traps. You always invest in SMSF. Always love investment property and in an investment. There's always a cycle in investment. So imagine if your superannuation is invested in a investment property in 2018 when the property drops its value, or it's invested now, 100% of your fund is invested in investment property and it drops in value, for example, in 2023, and you will sell that property and liquidate that to finance your retirement. So normally ATO will send you a letter and as a trustee to remind you to diversify in investing. There's a risk in investing, and the way to minimize the risk as a financial advisor is to diversify that investment. And then last mistake is not getting the paperwork right. So around 10% of the non-compliance is losing all the documentation. So So ask yourself if you can, because it's not the accountant who will enter into your contract. It's you who will get all the documents. It's you who will get all the invoices. And every year, the accountants will look into that documentation, and the auditor as well. So auditor will notify the ATO if there's an expense without reporting documentation. Okay. I will answer next five questions. There's 5 questions here. Can my SMSF invest in property overseas? Actually, the answer is yes. Some people set up an SMSF and invest in the Philippines. Yes, there's no prohibition in doing that. The problem actually is the implications. In Australia, you sell a capital asset here during your retirement. It's capital gains tax free. Maybe in the Philippines, I'm an accountant in the Philippines, but I did not update my taxation rules. But in the Philippines, we have a different capital gains tax law. So so maybe it is taxable in the Philippines. And there's a conflict of law actually if you invest in other country. So there's no prohibition, but you need to research the tax law or and the implication as a trustee. Another question here is can I buy a block of land and build a house on it with my SMSF? By a limited recourse borrowing arrangement, you cannot do that because you don't have to. You are now to change the appearance of the property. So if you borrow money to purchase a block of land and then you borrow money again to build a house, that's not allowed under SMSF rules. But if you have enough money, meaning you can pay it in cash, you purchase a land using an SMSF money, 100% cash, and then you use 100% cash as well to build a house. That's actually allowed. Another question is, can we add our daughter to our SMSF and purchase a property together? Of course, you can actually that's the purpose of having an SMSF to transfer wealth from one generation to the next generation. But your daughter, of course, cannot use that property. SMSF to buy furniture to outfit the unit. Maybe this one SMSF purchase investment property, and there's a money inside SMSF to buy a furniture. Maybe this one is like a condo, maybe in the Philippines. Yeah. Actually, you can actually do that, but not by borrowings. You cannot borrow money to buy a furniture. Myla, can we buy an ETF with SMSF? Of course, you can. That's actually allowed. Your APRA, your Australian Super actually is invested money in a managed fund or an exchange traded funds. SMSF to build a granny flat. So it's common. You got like a big house, block of land, and then you set up an SMSF and you put a granny flat at the back of your house. Actually, that's not allowed because of the separation of asset rules. So because you already own that land, you cannot separate that because the owner of the land will be the owner of the granny flat. So you cannot actually do that. So we're running out of times. Gary, this one is from Gary. Can you have a part of your super balance in SMSF and the remaining will balance in your superannuation? Yes, Gary, that's actually allowed, but you are paying two fees already. So if you set up an SMSF, because people set up SMSF to save money. So if you are paying a fund managers to manage your APRA regulated fund, and you're paying an accountant, auditor, and investment advisor to manage your SMSF, it's quite expensive. But you can actually do that. If you do SMSF, can you still do salary sacrificing to it, right? Yeah, that's correct. RM, you can still do that. if you have an existing trust company, can it be converted to SMSF trust company? The problem with this is from Vince, yeah. So Vince supposed to be the purpose of the trust company. No, Vince. So supposed to be SMSF trust company, meaning the trustee. Yeah. So only supposed to be the purpose of that company is to be a trustee only, not to run a business. You can actually do that, but for asset protection, it's better to have a company that the main purpose is to be a trustee of an SMSF. RM, when you use your SMSF for an investment property, can you rent? Yeah, I already answered this one. So Joy, back to you, Joy, now.
Awesome. Thanks, Rom. I know that's full on. Everyone, please continue to type in your questions in the chat, and then we'll see if we still have time later on to answer those. Cool. As we mentioned earlier at the start, everything we discussed today are all general advice. It does not take into consideration your specific circumstances. So make sure to work with professionals before acting on any of these. Again, last line there, do not trust anyone with your money. We have been calling that out several times. Aside from this event, so this is the Unpacking Self-Managed Super Fund. We in TaxSmart Cafe also do have other events. We do run Recipe for Financial Freedom, where we discuss tax minimization masterclass, debt recycling, and a favorite topic of ours, how to pay your home loan in 10 years. We also have an event for strategy for property investors, like the basics of capital gains tax, as well as negative gearing mistakes. We do have 3 events for businesses. One is how to future-proof your business, where we tackle business structure, asset protection, the health of your business, digital strategy, and very appropriate discussion around cybersecurity. Starting your business right with TaxSmart Cafe discusses if you're thinking of becoming a business owner, how do you start that right or restart your business right as well? Very new. We will run this new event on the 19th of November at Banjul Place in Southeast. So this will be Spice Up Your Business, where we will discuss the reasons why businesses fail and how can you actually, what can you do about that, enabling businesses to succeed. And Rob?
And then we have a Joy of Living with Academy. TaxSmart Cafe doesn't only focus on wealth creation and tax minimization, but we want to balance it with the right mindset towards simple life, simplicity, gratitude, the importance of well-being as well, mental health. Joy is a mental health first aider, so we try to balance that with wealth creation. So we have an academy for that.
Exactly. It's not just all about money, right? So we need to take care of our mental and physical well-being as well. Cool. We also do have upcoming events. So meet and greet for Pinoy entrepreneurs. So in preparation for the Pinoy entrepreneurs Small Business Expo that is going to happen on the 19th of November at Banjul Place. Again, it's in Southeast Narawaran. In preparation for that event, we will be doing a meet and greet with the those who will be participating in the expo. It's open to everyone as well who would like to join. It will be this Sunday at 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. Also at Banjul Place at Narawaran. Cool. And most of you might have known that we run Best of the Best Entrepreneur Awards June of this year. So we will be doing that again next year in May 27, 2023. So watch out for more details about that. This is where we acknowledge, we award, the success, the good things that our Filipino entrepreneurs have been doing. And Ram.
Breaking news. This is a question of Alan. So just this morning, I received a call that I myself hailed as a member or accountant of the year for Victoria, and will be competing against winner of New South Wales and five states. So hopefully we'll get the national award. But to be a champion in Victoria is a great honor as well. So it's a double news actually. But aside from me being a counter member of the year at TaxSmart Cafe is a practice of the year in Australia, beating thousands of all accounting firms in Victoria. We're just actually I would like to thank our supporters, our team, our staff. It's an actually an honor to be nominated is an honor already, but to win Victoria in Victoria, beating thousands of an accounting firm, the first Filipino accounting firm to be a practice of the year is a big accomplishment, and hopefully by October we can we get the national award. And thank you so much. Yeah.
Thanks, Rob, and thanks for everyone who supported us with this nomination as well. Cool. Just a brief recap. So, for the past hour, we went through the topics for unpacking self managed super fund. We discussed why people want to set up SMSF. We went through the overview, advantages, drawbacks, steps to accurately set up one, compliance requirements. You've heard a lot about that. Investing in property within your SMSF, as well as the 10 mistakes to avoid when setting up SMSF.
Last reminder to work with a professional. SMSF is highly regulated. It's nice to take a picture of this one to tell to those professionals who partner with the properties brokers to get money from you. They need to be to be licensed. So if someone without a license is starting to discuss SMSF and encouraging you to buy an investment property, a one-stop shop company that can set up your SMSF and sell a property, you have to run quickly because they are not a licensed professional. How to correctly set up your SMSF, we already discussed that. So choose the member, choose the structure. There's a law governing that SMSF, which is we call the trust deed. Being regulated by ATO, you need to have like an ABN, TFN, set up a bank account because you need to separate the asset of your SMSF, electronic services address. You need to have an investment strategy. You need to have an exit strategy. You need to appoint an auditor, and you need to appoint an accountant.
Cool. Did we miss a slide? No, we did not. Cool. In summary, so SMSF, it's a superannuation fund. So it's the sole purpose test, right? It's the sole purpose of your SMSF should be for the retirement benefit of the members and your dependents. The members of the SMSF, as Rob mentioned, are usually also the trustees. The trustee, you as members, you as trustees, you will have to decide in the best financial interest of the members of your SMSF. Superman movie said, with great power comes great responsibility, right? So members of self-managed super fund do have a number of responsibility in making sure that you comply to superannuation and tax laws. You need to consider the time, the skills, the cost that you need, not just to set up. It's not just one time. It's regularly maintaining your self-managed superannuation fund. And lastly, best to seek qualified and licensed professionals in deciding, even before you start opening up one. Again, this is a slide for you to take pictures, for you to go back to afterwards. And I guess there you have it. Thanks, everyone. So do like and share TaxSmart Cafe. We're on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram. We also do have some of our videos in Spotify, in Amazon, in Google. I think I forgot one more, but yeah, we're everywhere. Do add Rom's God as a friend in Facebook and myself, Johnny V, in Facebook. I didn't take picture, don't worry, but we are live on Facebook, as you know. Our website is taxsmartcafe.com.au. Aside from Facebook, we do post our updates on the website. Email us, hello@taxsmartcafe.com. If you need anything, you can book online as well. And Eventbrite is where you can, like this one, where you can book a spot in our upcoming events. Anything else, Rom?
I think
Any
we
other
still have
questions that we have?
four minutes.
There might be
Kung
some
wala
more
namang
questions in
questions,
the
it's more
chat.
about congratulations. Do SMSF have to register for GST? You can register your SMSF for GST, Saman. Um, other than that, thanks Alvin, thanks Vince. Congratulations daw. So, pag wala namang questions, to all of you, thank you so much, and we're all being joy, no? So save, no, save taxes legally.
Yeah, be smart with TaxSmart Cafe.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Thank
Thanks,
you. Thank you so
everyone. Have a good
much.
night.
Thank you. Okay. Bye bye.
Bye.